Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Oh Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jai Gaura Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Jaya Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Gaura He, 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 Jaya Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Radhe, Oh Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Oh Jaya Vrishabhanu Nandini Radhe Radhe, Vrishabhanu Nandini Radhe Radhe, Jaya Vrishabhanu Nandini Radhe Radhe, Vrishabhanu Nandini Radhe Radhe, Oh Radhe, 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 Radhe. Sachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai, Radha Gopinath Ju ki jai, Vishubhanu Nandini Radharani ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Sri Rupa Nuka Guru Varga ki jai, Guru Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanandi. Om Adinatimirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Taralaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Taravaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Pravajantamana Paityam Apaiti Krityam Dvaipahino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putre Hitam Mayatayo Taravo Vinidustam Sarvabhutam Munimanatoshmi. I first of all offer millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev. Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astautar Sarashishi Marshila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. This morning we came to the third verse and I described initially the breakdown of the whole Shikshastakam, or the 7 jewels of the Shikshastakam, in the light of what is sadhana bhakti, what is bhava bhakti, and what is prema bhakti. And Srila Rupa Goswami has given this incredible verse, Klesh Agni Subhada. This is the symptoms of sadhana bhakti. Symptoms means what is the effect of the practice. And I described that these first 4 jewels in the Siksastakam, they cover the sadhana bhakti, anartha-nivritti, nishta, ruchi, and asakti. These 4 stages lead us up to bhava bhakti. So, klesh agni, all the lesser habits and various obstacles. Klesha. Klesha means faults or obstacles, impediments. That's the meaning of klesha. And agni is fire. So this fire is ignited by the manifestation of Sri Bhakti Devi. She's burning to ashes these useless things, these obstructions, kleshagni. And then subhada, I described the auspiciousness of the manifestation of bhakti, when bhakti begins to manifest in the heart. Somehow our lives become very auspicious. It's as if the sun is coming out in the consciousness. It becomes very simple. We're just considering what is my next step to achieve more bhakti. So this auspiciousness is there, subhada. And then the next 2 symptoms of bhakti, they manifest at the stage of bhav, anandam buddhi vardhanam. This is the 5th jewel in the jewels of this Shikshastakam. So this bhav bhakti, this is described as moksha lukhata krit. Moksha lukhata krit means I have no taste at all for material liberation. Because why would I want anything? Because I feel completely satisfied in my practice of my devotion towards the Lord. I'm totally filled. I'm totally satisfied. There's a very beautiful verse in the Bhagavatam in the 2nd chapter. Sa vai pumsam paro dharma yato bhakti ahoiksaje ahoitiki apratihata yeyatma supersediti. This yeyatma supersediti. This means fully satisfied. The jiva becomes fully satisfied when he engages in bhakti yoga. It's saying sa vai pumsam. Pumsam means humanity. This is the questions by the sages are being answered in Naimisharanya by Sutta Goswami. He's answering these questions. What will satisfy the jiva? And he's answering that this bhakti yoga. But this stage of bhava bhakti is when the jiva becomes fully satisfied. Our goal now in sadhana bhakti, unless you're already in bhava bhakti, but our goal is to attain bhava bhakti. And I've already described at length the symptoms that manifest when bhava bhakti is bestowed upon us, that mercy. Sorry?
The 5th verse.
Yeah.
Is that what you're referring to?
No.
When you say the 5th jewel?
The 5th jewel that is described in the 1st verse. Because we've only been through the 1st verse. So in the 1st verse we've had 7 jewels which are about to be explained in the next 7 verses. So each verse is paralleling one of these jewels, but it's like that summary from the 1st verse will carry us through the rest of the Shikshastakam. Each verse is picking up one of those jewels. So Ayi Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram. This is actually the 5th verse. Is that correct? Yeah. So that's Nayanam Darashrud Darya. This is the verse that parallels Bhava Bhakti. Do you understand? Do you understand, Didi? You have 8 verses. First verse is a summary, and the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th are describing each of those jewels. So what I was trying to do today, or share with you today, is the order, the structure of the progress from sadhana bhakti to bhava bhakti to prema bhakti. If we see this staircase, very simply, then our focus is more easily strengthened. We can see moment by moment or day by day. We're aware of our progress. It's not just all over the place. There's some structure to our bhajan. We need the structure to keep the guideline. Once we get a beautiful taste for the name and we're remembering Radha and Krishna's names, we no longer think of that structure. But initially that structure is very helpful. It's also helpful in teaching others this path of bhakti. So it's like we're learning the parameters, so to speak. We're learning the guidelines of how to enter this bhakti. So in the fifth jewel, which is paralleling the sixth verse of Shikshastakam, is bhava bhakti. And then we discussed bhava bhakti at length. This moksha lukhata krit sudurlabha. This means I have no taste at all for impersonal liberation. I'm happy, I'm completely satisfied. I'm not looking to become freed from any sufferings in this world. If Krishna is giving me any difficulty in this world, I see it totally as his mercy. Just like the Pandavas, just like Draupadi, just like so many elevated personalities had so many various difficulties that were actually given by Krishna. It's not our karma in that stage. Our karma gets burnt up. The karma is our various material desires. That's what makes karma. The parabdha karma, aparabdha karma, kuta, bij, etc. The subtle karma, the gross karma, our karma which is about to come, our karma coming from previous births. This karma is a very intricate topic. But all these karmic reactions are totally nullified when bhava bhakti begins to manifest. But still we may endure some suffering, just like Jad Bharat. Gurudev has described, he was at the beginning stages of bhava, and yet again he became attracted to this material world by his affection to a young deer. And then he had to go through 2 more births, just to purify that attraction to the material energy. So this stage, our practice in sadhana bhakti must be very much focused on bhava bhakti. And remember the beautiful example I gave you from Jiva Goswami of the fire yajna, chanting all the mantras, making all the arrangement. But if we don't light the fire of bhava, what is the value of all that preparation? What value does it have? You understand? You understand that example? It's a good example. It's a perfect example. Our sadhana has to be of that nature. It has to be fully focused on bhava. When we learn, when Gurudev teaches us what is the definition of bhakti, we learn the verse, Anyavilasita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulyena krishnano bhakti uttama. We learn this now when we learn the process for practicing bhakti. This is kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhav sasadhanavida. Sadhya, what is the sadhya? Then it says nitya siddhyasya bhavasya. This perfect being is residing in the heart of the jiva. Prakritam hiti sadhyate, in potential. It's potentially there. Bhakti Devi is potentially there. It needs to be ignited. It's like dormant, like the fire inside wood. You understand? So all of these verses that I'm describing, 6 or 7 or 8 verses, they're all from Srila Rupa Goswami Pad. Rupa Goswami has given us this path of Rag Anuga. He has defined it, analyzed it, given us the stepping stones. We have to know clearly what is Raganuga and what is Rupanuga. I'm sure you all know, but I'll just say it again in case one maybe of you don't know. You know what is Raganuga? What?
I'm following the footsteps of Brajavas. This is called Raganuga.
Perfect.
And every Raganuga is not Rupanuga, but every Rupanuga is.
Perfect. Every Raganuga is not Rupanuga. Swarup Damodar, Rai Ramananda, they were Raga Nuga Bhaktas. It was Lalita and Vishaka. Jai Shishi Radha Gopinath Ju Ki Jai, Satchinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai. Is it getting close to the Purnima, full moon? Must be.
It's not Purnima.
Huh?
It's not Purnima outfit.
It's not a Purnima outfit?
It looks like it.
Yeah.
Purnima's white. It's
White.
green.
Oh, it has some green, yeah.
It's green.
I can only see it from
It's
top
beautiful.
row. Yeah, it's very beautiful. But it is getting close to Purnima, I think. 5th or... Huh? Yeah, we have a week
It
to
was
go.
just Amavasya recently.
Okay, okay. So Raganuga is following in the wake of the Ragatmika devotees like Lalita, Vishaka, etc. Even Hanumanji is a Ragatmika devotee, but he's not in Braja Prem. So we are following specifically the Braja Ramanis, those of Vrindavan. And we are Rup Anugas. What does Anuga mean?
Following.
Following, yes. We are following the teachings of Rupa Goswami. So all of these teachings that we've been having in the last 6 or 7 days have all been directly from Srila Rupa Goswami Pad in relationship to this Shikshastakam. We've talked about Upadeshamrita yesterday. We went through so many different verses of the Upadeshamrita. Again, this is Srila Rupa Goswami Pad. He is like the mouthpiece for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What was the speciality of Rupa Goswami Pad? He had a particular benediction, a remarkable benediction. He was able to withstand the separation mood from Radha and Krishna. This was a benediction. Shukadeva Goswami didn't have that. If Sukadeva Goswami in the Bhagavatam had spoken about Sri Radha, he would have gone into a faint for 7, 8 weeks. Huh?
6 months.
6 months. But Rupa Goswami is benedicted to be able to withstand that separation mood. There was a time when there was an assembly at Radha Damodar, and all of the Goswamis and sadhus were there. They were hearing Raghunath Bhatta Goswami recite so beautifully Srimad Bhagavatam. Shri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami would recite in 3 different melodies, beautiful, the verses of the Bhagavatam. It's described he had a voice like a cuckoo. All the Vaishnavas would totally love his singing the verses of the Bhagavatam. And in this assembly, everyone became completely ecstatic. They were weeping, some were rolling on the ground and so on. But Rupa Goswami Pad was just sitting completely like motionless. And one devotee was thinking, he had some doubt. He thought, well, why isn't Sri Rupa Goswami Pad in some sort of, or exhibiting some type of state of bhava at least? And then a very exalted devotee could understand his doubt, and he took a cotton bud, or a piece of cotton, and he put it just under the nostrils of Rupa Goswami, and it immediately burst into flames. All this fire was being able to be contained within him of this mood of bhava. He didn't lose his composure. This was a benediction by Mahaprabhu, so that he was able to write the Rasa Shastras. Without Rupa Goswami, how could we understand anything at all of how we've sort of taken apart this Shikshastakam? How could we have any framework for discussion on it? We've discussed the different stages of bhakti. These were all, these definitions, or even just the stages, were all given or highlighted by Rupa Goswami. Of course the stages are already there, but he brought them to light. The actual terminology, as I described the other day, is from the Hindi, and it's Hindi psychology, and he's turning this Hindi psychology into the names of the different stages, this anartha nivritti, nishta, ruchi, bhav, etc. So he's giving us this framework, and he's actually giving us the entire path, the entire road into this rag bhakti. Rag mag was the desire of Mahaprabhu. We've discussed, and just for a moment I want to recap because it's so important. I didn't ask you for 3 days now. You've had time to forget. Just tell me briefly, who will tell me straight away what are the 4 reasons for Mahaprabhu's advent? Ramji, can you tell me? The 4 reasons for Mahaprabhu's advent. The first reason for Mahaprabhu coming, yes? First reason. You have, Ramji, that's the last reason. You have to give it to me in the right order. In order of sweetness, in order of prominence. The first reason for Mahaprabhu is what? Huh? No. That's one of his desires. That's not the specific reason. Tell me. Hang on. Tell me. No, this is his desires again.
To taste Unnata Ujjvala Ras.
Huh?
To taste Unnata Ujjvala Ras.
To taste Unnata Ujjvala Ras. Anapita Chirin Chirat Karunaya Vartino Kalo Samaravaitam Unnata Ujjvala. Unnata Ujjvala is the reason Mahaprabhu came. This is the first reason he came. When we discuss the nature of Unnata Ujjvala, then we describe the three desires that constitute Unnata Ujjvala. But in principle, it's just Unnata Ujjvala. One hand is dancing, tasting Unnata Ujjvala. The other hand, Sva Bhakti Shriyam. He's giving this Rag Ma Bhakti Loke, Karite Prachan. He's giving Raganuga Bhakti. So the first reason always, right on the tip of the tongue, must be that Krishna comes, he's totally independent. Krishna is the supreme ultimate Vishaya, supreme enjoyer. He comes for his own pleasure. It's not directly his pleasure to give Nam to the Jivas. Of course it's his pleasure, but more than that is his tasting personally of this Unnata Ujjvala prem. Now this verse I just described, Anapita Chirim Chirat, I think it's on page 8 of the songbook. Srila Gurudev took such pains. It's on 7 or 8. I think it's 8. Have a look in your songbook, page 7 or 8. You found it? Anapita Chirin Chirat. Yes? Try to familiarize yourself with that verse, or at least know the translation. Gurudev gave his whole heart for us to know this and be aware of this, because by understanding this identity of Mahaprabhu, then the whole Shikshastakam, it becomes alive. It's emanating from his lotus lips. Who is this person? We're talking about this personality in the Gambhira, in Puri. And we've discussed in the last few days so many aspects of the nature of that prem he was experiencing. His associates. We've discussed the nature of Puri Dham, that it's actually Aishwarya Dham, not Madhurya Dham. So many, we've made a picture, we've made a color of this atmosphere where this Shikshastakam has been manifested. So this first reason, sugar wants to taste sugar. This is the easiest way to remember it. Krishna is so sweet, everyone's flopping around tasting his sweetness and ecstasy. But what about poor Krishna? Doesn't he get any taste of ecstasy? His ecstasies are limited. I describe in the transcendental progression of love, again given by Srila Rupa Goswami Pad. It's sneha, man, pranaya, rag, anurag, bhav. Then there are two stages of rudha and adhirudha. These two stages are the limit that Krishna can taste. Krishna can only personally taste up to this point. He can't taste Mohan, Madan and Mohan, Modan and Madan. Mohan, Modan, Madan. These three can only be tasted by those who are the ashraya, who are tasting the sweetness of Krishna. Only they can taste. It's described that Sri Radha's taste is 10 million times greater than Krishna. She's tasting this Mohan and Madan and Modan. What? Is it on the same topic?
Yes.
Okay.
It's confusing to me because Radharani is the embodiment of all good qualities, spiritual qualities. So why can't Krishna taste? Why doesn't he taste her to the extent that she tastes him?
She's saying that Sri Radha is the embodiment of all good qualities because she is reflecting Krishna's qualities. Krishna has all the goods, so to speak. Like Gurudev described, Krishna is like the music shop owner. He owns billions of instruments. He owns all the, emotions of rasa. But those emotions can't be invoked without the mercy of Radha. So it's Radha who brings out this rasa. So it's not that Radha contains this rasa. Krishna contains it. He is Rasaraj. But Radha, she's the catalyst to invoke these moods from Krishna. Do you understand? Really? She has wonderful qualities, but those qualities are due to her, those qualities being reflected from Krishna. Krishna, listen carefully. Krishna is the only independent entity in existence. Krishna is like the candle. The flame of the candle is completely independent to the heat of the candle or the light of the candle. Correct? Understand? But the light and the heat of the candle are utterly dependent on the flame, aren't they? Without the flame, there can be no heat and there can be no light. But in a sense, without the heat and the light, there still can be the flame. The flame is in no way depending on the heat for its existence, does it? But the heat depends on the flame for its very existence. And the light depends on the flame for its very existence. It can't exist without the flame. Similarly, Sri Radha cannot exist without Sri Krishna. But that heat in the rasa tattva vichar. Vichar means consideration. There are always two areas of consideration. You should write these two words down if you're not familiar with them. There is tattva vichar and there is rasa vichar. They are both, in a sense, quite different. They both totally complement each other. They balance each other. They harmonize each other. But they actually are, like in the tattva vichar, the tattva, the truth, or the siddhanta, is that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Aham eva sam eva gre. Before there was anything, there was just Krishna. This is called tattva vichar. But in rasa vichar, Sri Radha is supreme because she controls that Krishna. So it's a different consideration. So the devotees can very easily reconcile these two conceptions, aspects. So in the tattva vichar, Krishna is the abode of all qualities. And from himself, this Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritya Hladini Shakti Asmad Ekatmanav Api Bhuvi Puro Deha Bedam Gatoto Chaitanyakam Prakatam Aduna Tadvayam Radha Duti Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. This is the verse that comes after Anapita Chirim Chirat. This is saying the identity of Radha and Krishna. Radha and Krishna are one. Ekatmanav. Originally they are one, and then they separated into two for their pastimes. So all these good qualities from Sri Radha are ultimately manifesting from Krishna. But of course Radha has this one ingredient that we're discussing today, specifically in this verse, of profound humility. Because even though she is the controller of that Lord, of the controller of all the universes, Krishna is Madan Mohan. Sri Radha is Madan Mohan Mohini. She bewilders that Madan Mohan. So she is actually in the superior position. And that superiority, that quality of superiority, manifests in her depth of humility, her deep humility. So this is the topic actually we're discussing today, this third verse of Trinad api sunicena. This is the verse we're trying to understand. So we can understand that that quality of humility is even more extraordinary than that humility within Krishna. Does that answer your question a bit?
A little bit.
A little bit. You have to chant Hare Krishna to have it fully answered, you know. But I explained the other day, very simply, I just recap again, how, you know, we also personally have various emotions within us that are completely dormant until a certain individual, either our mother, she will evoke some particular feeling, our father will evoke a particular emotion, our dear friend will invoke a certain feeling, our husband will invoke, or our wife will invoke a feeling, etc. Our lover will invoke a certain feeling. So these emotions are there in the heart until a catalyst comes along in the form of another individual to bring out that emotion. Now Sri Radha is that catalyst that brings all of these powerful rasas out of Krishna. Without Radha, none of these rasas could manifest. When Mahaprabhu was in Navadvip, the height of his tasting of this rasa was a little limited in a sense compared to Puridam. When he was in Puridam, these rasas came out much more strongly because he'd been to the school of Vishaka in the Godavari, Rai Ramananda, and she had taught him how to actually taste and experience these mellows of herself, of Sri Radha. Vishaka and Radha are the same age. They're so similar. So Vishaka is totally qualified to teach Krishna about the moods of Radha. And then Gadadhar is living close by in Puri, teaching Mahaprabhu every day through the Srimad Bhagavatam at Tota Gopinath how to enter more deeply into her own moods. It's her moods of separation that Krishna specifically wanted to taste. Now when I just asked this question, what is the reason for Mahaprabhu's advent? You first of all must say to taste Unnata Ujjvala Prem. Unnata means topmost, the pinnacle. Ujjvala means brilliantly shining or splendid. It's the topmost prem, and he wants to taste it. Now what is the nature of that prem? How can you describe that prem? It's the fulfillment of his three desires. That's why I've encouraged you to learn these three desires, because just by knowing the English, it can help carry the consciousness into a deeper place of contemplation on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He wanted to, all right, who can tell me the first desire? Now this is just the desire. This is not directly the reason for his advent. It's about the reason for his advent. It's describing the reason for his advent. It's going deeper again. This is in the 6th verse of Adi Lila Chaitanya Charitamrita. We have 4, 5, and 6. These are all such key. This 4th verse, we were just discussing Rupa Goswami, is written by Rupa Goswami. This Anapita Chirin Chirat. And Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj quotes it 3 times in glorification of Rupa Goswami. So now, the desires. First. Very good. He's a good student.
That's the second one.
Kidrisho Mamadiya. What does that mean? You can break it down the Sanskrit and you get it exactly. What does that mean?
Swadaya is to taste.
Yes, to taste.
Taste the astonishment.
Yes, astonishing. Adbhuta. We often sing Adbhuta Nashringa. This word Adbhuta we should be familiar with. Adbhuta, Madhurima. Madhurima. Madhurima means sweet, sweet, juicy qualities of Krishna. Astonishing, sweet. 2 adjectives to describe Krishna's qualities. Astonishingly sweet qualities. He wants to taste that himself. How can he taste? And the example is giving in Adi Lila chapter 4. He wants to taste his own reflection he sees in the jeweled column. But he can't taste his reflection. But he can taste that through the love of Sri Radha. This is the second desire he wants to fulfill. Are you all catching all this carefully? Okay. Third desire. Third desire, you have to listen very closely. And you have to learn it just like an actor learns his lines. You can't wing it, you can't speculate on it. It's got to be exact, otherwise you're going to miss some of its sweetness. There's 2 adjectives in here that have to be there. Ah, come on, you were on a roll. You had 2 perfect. You can say? Very good. Perfect. Well done. Excellent. 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 Yes, these 2 words, happiness and sweetness. Sokyam, mad anubhava, my sweetness. She wants to relish or taste the happiness. Krishna wants to relish the happiness that Radha experiences from receiving the sweetness, mad anubhav, my sweetness of Krishna's love. It's the taste of the sugar. So this final desire is what Mahaprabhu was experiencing to the pinnacle when this Shikshastakam manifested. It was right at the very end of his manifested pastimes. In chapter 20, the Shikshastakam comes out. At the very end of his pastimes in this world. And I describe that history, how it's invoked and inspired by deep humility. As Mahaprabhu is describing each verse, so this humility is like the prem, is pushing this verse. Now today, so I'll ask you again, what are these 4? We didn't say the other 4 reasons for his advent. Just quickly, can you say, Ram, in order? The first is to taste prem. The second is to give service to this prem. Sva bhakti shriyam. Understand this. This is how it is. He wants to give us, he's not going to give us this prem. That prem is not for the jiva. The prem for the jiva, in a sense, is almost higher than that. Because we can have service to the prem. It's not that we're denied something because we don't get the prem of Mahaprabhu. We actually do, in a sense. The Manjaris themselves, what is this Sva Bhakti Shriyam? Sva means own. Swa Rup, Sva Dham, Sva Tantra. Swaha. Sva means own. Krishna's own bhakti is Sri Radha. And then Shriyam means the beauty of her bhakti is in her closest associates, who are the Manjaris. The Manjaris are there almost like shadows around Sri Radha. Radha can do anything when she's with her Manjaris. The Sakis cannot enter when Krishna and Radha are together in a very intimate situation. But the Manjaris can come in. They're just little girls. And they have such an opportunity of service directly to this Unnata Ujjvala Prem. It's this Unnata Ujjvala Prem that is manifesting between Radha and Krishna. So this gift that Mahaprabhu is giving, it's not only Raganuga, but it's actually the highest pinnacle of Raganuga. It is Manjari Bhav. That is the gift that Mahaprabhu is giving. And when in the Manjari form we're serving Radha and Krishna, we become completely Tad Atmik with Sri Radha. Tad Atmik means we become one with Radha. Tad Atma, it means like the example of putting the iron into the fire. The iron becomes exactly the same as the fire. It becomes red, it becomes hot, it becomes smoky, it burns, it lights, it has all the qualities of fire, but it's not fire. Similarly, the Manjaris, they take on the same qualities as Sri Radha. There's a beautiful astakam that we sing when Raghunath Das is saying about Rupa Goswami. Oh, your lips, my dear Rupa Goswami, or Rupa Manjari, are cracked. This means you must have been kissing, but your husband is far away. How is it that you have this symptom that you've been kissing, but your husband is far away? Because these symptoms are actually manifesting externally on the body of Rupa Manjari, in her form of Rupa Manjari. So in other words, whatever Sri Radha is experiencing in bliss, the Manjaris simultaneously, when they are with Sri Radha, If one Manjari is away in another place while those pastimes are going on, she does not experience, she's not tadatmic with Radha and Krishna at that time. Only when she's directly serving is she tadatmic. Just like the iron, if it's away from the fire, it's no longer tadatmic. When the iron is in the fire, it is tadatmic. So when the Manjaris are in that direct seva, then they are experiencing the same moods. This is like when we read about in Vilap Kusumanjali by Raghunath Das. He's constantly, Vilap Kusumanjali means a bouquet of lamentations. His lamentation is every time he comes back into this, what is called Bahirdesh. Bahirdesh is his material consciousness. For the sadhak, the Jati Rati sadhak, he has 3 stages of consciousness. There is Bahirdesh, that's in this world when he's attending to his bodily needs. Then there is Bahir Antardesh, when his meditation is becoming very intense. And then there is Antardesh, when he goes right into that spiritual world. And the other day I described to you that beautiful pastime of Raghunath Das as Tulsi Manjari, taking the lac from Krishna's trembling hand when he was putting the name on Sri Radha's feet. So Raghunath Das is describing how in his Antardesh he's experiencing such sweet bliss in the service of Radha and Krishna, but then he has to come back again into this sadhak form, and then he experiences the complete anguish and this lamentation. It's in that lamentation that he manifests these verses of Vilap Kusumanjali. You should all have a copy of this. I know my friend Gopi here. He read nothing but this Vilap Kusumanjali for 10, 12 years. He just sat here while they were building and dust and everything, and continually would only read it. And all Gurudev's commentaries, because Gurudev spoke these explanations to those ISKCON wallahs in the early 90s. So we are very grateful to them for bringing this out of Gurudev. Otherwise, how could it have come out? So, in this sense, we see, what was I saying? What was the thread?
The 4 reasons.
Oh, right, the 4 reasons. Okay, so Swabhakti Shriyam, Manjari Bhav. So we can attain this Manjari Bhav. And then the last 2 reasons, the secondary reasons, Advaita Acharya's call, and the 4th is to spread the holy name of the Lord. So these are the 4 reasons for Mahaprabhu, and I've described the understanding of the first reason by the fulfillment of his 3 desires. I tried to get a sheet with these written very clearly for you, but the photocopier was so atrocious that we actually lost some money. I made a lot of copies, but they were all so terrible. But maybe if somebody knows a better photocopying place in Vrindavan, I can give you the file and you can print for everybody. It's very helpful. It's got clearly the 4 reasons, and then it's got clearly the 3 desires and the relative verses. It's just a 3-page little file. Or you can have it in a computer format. Or Padabja Prabhu is going to put it on the Pure Bhakti website or a website. For download, yeah. So that you can just take that file. But you should regularly look at this. Not only you, but understand how to give this. Because we're discussing now, today, in this verse, Trinad sunicena, these 4, we can say again, jewels of within this verse. Remember today we talked Trinad sunicena. This is natural humility that is manifested from total detachment from sense gratification. This is how humility will manifest. When your senses are totally under control and they're not just running flippantly, whimsically here and there. This is actually when humility can manifest. I described what was humility today, just in a single sentence, that the sadhak is seeing nothing in existence that is separate from Krishna. This is real humility. This is the real definition of humility. It's not, as I said before, that you just bow your head and bumble and stumble around into walls and look very humble or pretend not to want to have your picture taken because it's somebody's putting some advertising poster on and, oh, not me, I'm so humble. Don't you know I'm so humble? You know? No. Don't become proud of your humility. You can't become proud of your humility if you're understanding that humility means to see Krishna in every atom of existence. How can you become proud? It's about Krishna, not about us. So this first jewel from this verse, I'm just reiterating what I said this morning, just to make it easier for you to understand. I want you to understand these verses deeply. I want you to take them and for the next 12 months or so, feel comfortable with them. Feel that you have entered something of the structure of the Shikshastakam. You've entered something of this ocean. You've learned how to swim something in the ocean. And later on we'll learn how to dive in the ocean and pick up these jewels that are actually just beneath the external waves. So this first jewel of this verse, trinad sunicena, is natural humility that is born from total detachment from... It doesn't say renunciation of sense gratification, because we cannot renounce anything. You can have such a huge wardrobe, you can have such a nice place to live, but be totally detached. Detachment and renunciation are not at all the same. Renunciation means I deliberately give something up. But detachment means even though I have that opportunity to exploit that object, I have no desire to, because I have a higher taste. And the beautiful example is Pundarik Vidyanidhi. When Mukunda, he brought Gadadhar to see that great devotee, and Mukunda was shocked. Who is this Vishai that Mukunda's brought me to see? Who is this sense enjoyer? Pundarik Vidyanidhi was sitting in a beautiful room with servants fanning him. He had oiled hair. There were mirrors around that he was looking in. He was chewing pan. He had a gold spittoon. He was lying on a soft bed. It was such an opulent, obviously enjoying environment. Gadadhar became very bewildered. Huh?
Hookah.
What? Hookah, yes, hookah. Don't forget the hookah. Probably, you know, I don't, anyway. Okay. And Mukunda, he was Gadadhar was totally, deeply disturbed. Why has Mukunda in Krishna Lila is Vrindadevi. Gadadhar is Sri Radha. These are greatly exalted devotees. Mukunda is thinking, why? Gadadhar is thinking, why has he brought me here? And then Mukunda senses his doubt. So he says this beautiful verse from the Bhagavatam, Aho Bhakiyam Kalakala Stutam, Jighamsa Yapaya Para Apya Sadvi, Labhe Gatim Datri Uchitam Katonyam, Karmva Dayalam Sharanam Brajema. This is from the third canto. This is when Uddhava is saying that how amazing it is that Putana, even though she came to murder Krishna, and for a moment she looked like a mother, and Krishna gave her the benediction of being a mother. Even though she was a murderess, even though she wanted to murder Krishna, still Krishna's compassion is so overwhelming that he gave even that demon the form of a nursemaid on the fringes of Goloka Vrindavan. So this Gurudev describes is the compassionate verse, or the compassionate quality of Krishna. It's just, if you really think about this verse, it'll bring tears to your eyes. The compassion of Krishna for such a sinful person as Putana. So when Pundarik Vidyanidhi heard this compassionate verse about Sri Krishna, he became totally overwhelmed in bhava. And he began rolling around. He fell off the bed, he smashed the mirrors, he broke everything, knocked the hookah over. Everything was like broken for hours and hours. And Gadadhar was seeing this extraordinary exhibition of high bhava that Pundarik Vidyanidhi was expressing. At that point, his heart became very much trembling with fear. Oh, I have committed one great offense. And then he decided in his heart, seeing those exalted bhavs, that he would take initiation from this personality. And he went to Mahaprabhu and he asked, can I take initiation from Pundarik Vidyanidhi? Mahaprabhu gave his full blessing. Of course, Pundarik Vidyanidhi is Rishabhanu Maharaj in Krishna Leela. So this is completely correct, that Radharani should take initiation from her father in Gaura Leela. Gadadhar is Radha, so like that. But this pastime shows that even if you have all opulence, it's about your attachment to that opulence, never your renunciation. We cannot renounce anything. Remember I gave the example of a bank teller in a bank. He puts his hands up, he says, I renounce all the money in the bank. How ludicrous. He doesn't own any of the money. So how can you renounce anything from this world? What do you own in this world? I described this morning these 5 coverings that Lord Brahma puts on us. He covers us over to make us able to live in this material world. If he didn't give us those coverings, we would just commit suicide. He gives us these coverings of illusion so that we can stay in this world under the illusion that I can get some material pleasure from here. If I really didn't think I could get any material pleasure, I would be, and I didn't know about spiritual life, I would just commit suicide. If I knew actually ultimately I can't get any pleasure here, there would be nothing left for me here. So these coverings are placed by, so one of the coverings is this understanding of false ownership. We have the illusion that something is mine. Even we have the illusion this body is mine. Where did this body come from? I didn't have this body before I was born. I won't have it after I leave this world. So how can it belong or be the property of my soul? It's like a vehicle that I'm using. It's the closest thing to me. This is why the materialist becomes so distraught at the thought of death, because death is the most precious, I'm about to lose the most precious thing, which is my body. So we have to understand this detachment.
Is that the same as the 5 types of avidya?
It parallels that. Yes. He asked if those 5, they're called nascent engagements. They're in the 3rd canto. Take a note. 3rd canto, chapter 12, verse 2. You can read those coverings. And then when you read Madhurya Kadambini, it's describing in different language the same exact terminology. It talks about avidya, avesh, dvesh, what's the other one? What is it called? Asmita. Very good. Yes. And abhiman, the false identification. Abhinivesh. Yes. These 5, they're exactly the same as these 5. They parallel them completely. Many times when we read Bhagavad Gita, there's a certain set of terminologies. And then we read Jivadhamma, and it's the same truth, but just in a different set of terminologies. It's to give us deeper entrance into the single topic. It's coming from a different perspective. You're seeing the jewel all the way round. You're seeing the whole jewel. This is how the acharyas have been so generous in describing in so many different ways the same principle. The essence of everything is to develop our attraction to Krishna. And there's so many ways of describing that. The principal verse to remember, you can say, is Smartavya Shatatam Vishnu Vishmartavya Nakatuchit. That always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. This is what all the Shastras ultimately are encouraging us for. So the first line of this important verse that we're discussing today, Trinadapi sunicena, is will bring out our natural humility, the symptom of realizing that verse. The second line, Tarodapi suhishana, is the manifestation of pure compassion. which has no envy. This enviousness, this envious nature, is what we are brought up in an atmosphere of envy. I've described a few times, it's like the whole world is, alive with envy. Any newspaper, everywhere is envious mentality around us. So to develop this quality of compassion, we have to, in a sense, go upstream, away from the material considerations. We're not looking for anything material. We're looking to develop our spiritual awareness. And a quality of that is compassion. We carry that mood of compassion over into the next two lines of this verse. This amanina. This is purity of heart that will manifest when there is an absence of material false ego. When the false ego has been purified, then the purity of the heart will manifest. And then a great compassion will naturally come in the heart of the jiva. This purity of heart. And in that purity of heart, I'm not looking to push myself forward. Amanina. I'm not looking for my own self-respect. Or rather, I'm not looking for my own public respect. I do have self-respect. I should have self-respect for this jewel of a soul within my body. I have to carefully nourish it through this life with the fruit or the food of bhakti. I have to grow in bhakti. I have to nourish this soul. So I have to have self-respect in that sense. But I'm not looking for a respectful position in the world. If respect comes to me or not, it doesn't matter. Because sometimes they will love you and sometimes they will hate you. Sometimes people will glorify you and sometimes they won't. If we're going to live our lives according to what other people think of us, we're going to be just mentally going up and down like crazy. There's a book I once read, its title was, "What You Think of Me Is None of My Business." It's good. It's a good title. It's none of my business, really, what you think of me. You can think of me what you like. It's your freedom. Your what? Prerogative, yes. Whatever you want, because you may think one thing today, and tomorrow you're not in a good mood, and you see some flaw or some fault, and you think something totally different. And if I'm basing my identity on what you think of me, what sort of strength do I have personally? I am an independent entity. It will erode my own personal confidence and independence if I'm beginning to depend on your, view of who I am, etc. So that's not a very strong position to be in. We should develop our own sense of self-respect, but we're not looking to push that. We're not looking for prestige in the world. And Gurudev describes this in length many times. Didi, I'm just going over again more or less what I said this morning. I'm saying the same things just to sort of make them more strong. It's exactly the same things that I spoke this morning. Maybe I'm going a little slower or I'm saying some extra things. We can see the example of Madhavendra Puripad when he was in Remuna and he had a desire to taste that sweet rice, that kheer that was being offered to Gopinath, so that he could take to his Gopal deity in Govardhan. And then he became very unhappy with himself for even thinking that thought. But Krishna had heard that pure thought, that original pure thought, that he wanted to know the ingredients so that he could offer it to Gopal in Vrindavan. And then Madhavendra Puri, after he thought that, he immediately left the temple. And then he went to take rest in the marketplace. And then that pujari was woken up by Krishna. And Krishna told him, by a dream. Krishna told him in a dream, I have saved one pot of this kheer for my dear devotee Madhavendra Puri. I have hidden it under my skirts in the deity room. You please come and get this and take it to my dear disciple Madhavendra Puripad. Madhavendra Puri is described as the Prem Ankur. This is who he is. He's the root of this Prem in the world. The sprout, yes, the sprout that is about to produce or make the foundation for the advent of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He comes before Mahaprabhu to make the ground fertile so that there is this teaching of bhava is somewhere present in the world. So then this pujari, he carefully takes the bath, he enters the deity room, and to his astonishment he finds that pot of kheer underneath the deity's skirt. And then he takes that pot and he goes into the marketplace and he calls out, "Oh, where is that soul called Madhavendra Puri? Where is he? Where is he? Where is he?" And finally, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, Madhavendra Puri, he comes forward. "Oh, I am he, I am he. What is it, what is it?" And he said, "Oh, you are so blessed. My Gopinath, by some trick, has stolen just you, this pot of kheer." Can you imagine the ecstasy of Madhavendra Puri? When he's thinking like that this deity heard his prayer, the purest part to satisfy Gopal in Govardhan, and he took this, saved this pot of kheer. Then he gave this pot of kheer to Madhavendra Puri, who immediately took and relished so much and could understand its fragrance, its flavor, etc., and how he could reproduce it for his deity in Govardhan. And then he broke that pot and he put all the pieces into his cloth, so he would suck on the the pottery, the clay of that in the days to come. But then he thought, aha, this pujari, he's going to go and tell everyone that the deity had a dream about me and came out with me and going to show how greatly fortunate am I. People are going to start to glorify me. That's not what I want at all. That's the last thing I want. So therefore he immediately left Remuna and he went straight to Jagannath Puri on his errand to collect the sandal paste for his deity. But if Krishna, it's described, wants to glorify his devotee, you cannot check that desire. So when he arrived in Puridam, they all knew the pastime and everyone was glorifying Madhavendra Puri, so he couldn't avoid that. But he certainly was not in any way or form looking for that. Madhavendra Puri is such an exalted personality. He would never beg for his sustenance. He would wait until someone fed him or not fed him. This is a real detached from this world, so renounced in a sense. He would not ever ask for anything. So this pastime shows that the devotee, he's never seeking his own self-centeredness, because he knows that's going to take my vision away of Radha and Krishna. If I'm suddenly thinking of my own importance or greatness, how can I possibly put Radha and Krishna's prominence on the front burner of my consciousness? How will I do that? If I'm thinking how important I am, that must mean that my focus on Radha and Krishna is actually diminished by my own self-importance. So this material false ego must be purified. Amanina.
Could also that be the reason somebody might not want their picture taken?
Huh?
Could also that be the reason somebody might not want their picture taken?
Why?
From what you just said, like Madhavendra Puri.
Are they so glorious that their glories will be, are we on the platform of Madhavendra Puri? That if we have our picture taken in a group of devotees in some place, oh, I don't want my picture taken, because probably I'm thinking I am really so great. It's probably inverted in the conditioned soul. You know?
But everyone's different.
It's true. It's true. Some people don't like their pictures taken. I'm just making jokes about that because we wanted to take some pictures because we want to ask if Anita wants to advertise it in Gopinath Bhavan now. They're having some programs and we're discussing the Shikshastakam, and it's might be enlivening for the devotees in the world to know that something is happening in Gopinath Bhavan. I know, big one? It's on Facebook, but we were thinking, should it be on Bhakti Bhakti also? So Sharda, she wanted to take some photographs, but then some was saying, well, I don't want my photograph taken. So I was thinking, well, why wouldn't somebody want their photograph taken representing, the programs in Gopinath Bhavan? Sometimes we pretend to be humble or we act in a way that probably isn't humble. It's maybe shy. Ladies have the quality of shyness, so okay, we can say it's shyness. But it's not really humility. Humility is something different. Humility is deeply profound, that we see in the quality of Sri Radha at the topmost. That's a different quality to shyness. Shyness is about me, isn't it? I am shy. Humility is about Krishna. It's about loving him. It's different. So that's the third jewel, this amanina. Then the fourth is manadena, being able to offer full respect to everyone according to their various adhikars or positions in the world. And everyone is in a different position relative to each other. So our various relationships, there are those who we would honor with more respect than others. It's not that you give, the most junior the same respect as you would give the most senior. You understand the current of bhakti in different individuals and you honor that bhakti accordingly as you perceive it. That is the internal vision. But the external vision, Srila Gurudev has trained us, is according to age of devotee. If a devotee has been, just like the example of Jiva Goswami, when Rupa Goswami was writing his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and Vallabha Acharya came, an old man, and heard some of that reading and then offered to edit it. In other words, it seemed that he had found some sort of flaw in Rupa Goswami's work. And then when he went to take his bath, Jiva Goswami followed him, young boy, and came and said, "Oh, you found some flaw in my master's writing?" Yes, yes. So, was it liberation or was it bhakti that was being referred to? I don't remember the verse. Was it Bhukti Mukti Spriha Prischachi? Yes, this verse. That this witch of liberation. I can't remember the
desire is the witch.
The desire?
The desire for liberation.
The desire for liberation rather than the desire for bhakti.
Why has he pointed out that bhakti, actually a bhukti, that's material sense gratification, is like a demon?
Yes.
Like a witch.
Yes.
But why has he mentioned mukti to be a witch?
Yes.
The Jiva Goswami says that the reason, actually he hasn't mentioned mukti to be a witch. He just said that we should not desire it, because if someone is doing bhakti, mukti will automatically come. Very good.
Yes. So Vallabha Acharya was thinking that mukti was being referred to as a witch. But actually Rupa Goswami was not referring it to a witch. He was saying if it's desired separately, it can obstruct our bhakti. But the point, what I'm making just now in this part of that pastime, is that Jiva Goswami corrected Vallabha Acharya. And Vallabha Acharya was a senior older man. And when Vallabha Acharya came back from his bath to the kutia of Rupa Goswami, he said, "Oh, your disciple, that young boy, he is so intelligent. He completely checked my idea for even wanting to edit your manuscript. It's perfect just the way it is." He'd understood. And then he left. And then when Jiva Goswami came back, Rupa Goswami was very unhappy with Jiva Goswami. "Oh, why did you speak to that older man like that? Why did you not let him keep his own conceptions? You think you're so clever to speak to an older person in that way? You're not fit to do bhajan. Leave this ashram immediately." And then he sent him away to a crocodile hole. Yeah, very sad story. Yeah, long story. But the point I'm making is that we should build this respect for others, and in the society of devotees, this social respect will create an atmosphere where we can discuss these topics of Radha and Krishna in a very beautiful way. If we all have two familiar relationships with each other, that's why we come into a somewhat formal setting of a class. We chant mantras, etc. We hopefully sit in front of the deities. There's some formality. In that setting, it creates a strength where we can discuss deeper topics. There's a respectful mood. that respectful mood will allow deeper topics to be discussed and heard. That's why it's a mistake to break that mood and atmosphere, just like what happened here a month or so ago, when it was me participating in that breaking of that atmosphere. It takes a long time actually to build up in a big group that respectful atmosphere. It takes work, it takes energy to build that atmosphere. So we should be very careful not to break it. If you break it and fraction it by suddenly getting up and yelling out something really obnoxious, it's going to completely break that mood that has evolved after so many days. It takes time to build a respectful place where we can discuss these topics and feel completely safe and protected to hear these topics. So it's a science. So this respect is necessary to hear and give Harikatha. So respecting others has a purpose to it. Our aim and object in life is always to hear Harikatha. Shrinvatam Swakata Krishnam Punya Shravana Kirtanam. We want to hear forever this Harikatha. It's our life force, it's our energy. So that respect for others is necessary to have the right mentality to receive that Harikatha. So these four qualities are, again, I've just gone over more or less. In Bhajan Rahasya, in this chapter, I didn't actually want to read all these verses so much because they're full of lamentation. They're full of, oh, you know, I am so fallen, I am so devoid of bhakti. And if you hear all of these verses over and over, you know, you become very humble. And for example, this text 8, it's saying, I am not devoted to dharma, nor do I have any knowledge of the soul, and my heart has no devotion for your lotus feet. This is Yamuna Acharya is speaking. O protector, being destitute, I take shelter of you. I have no shelter other than you. You have come as the savior of the fallen to deliver such a wretched fallen soul as me. I am your eternal servant, and you are my eternal master. This chapter is filled with so many verses of this nature. So many. Of this mood of, I am bereft, I have nothing. Here's another one. Oh Hari, I am an offender, guilty of thousands of offenses, and therefore punishable. I am drowning in this fearsome ocean of material existence. Lost, I take shelter of your lotus feet. Please make me your own. You have promised that you will definitely deliver anyone who has taken shelter of you. Please therefore deliver me also. So these are heartfelt cries of humility all the way through this chapter, that I have nothing. It's saying again, O Bhagavan, if I take birth again due to my past activities or by your desire, please let it be in the home of a devotee, even if that birth is in the body of an insect, which is such a low birth. I have no desire to take birth in a household devoid of devotion to you, even if it has the opulence of Brahma or Purushottam. This is my earnest prayer to you. This is a mood of extreme humility. I even want to be an insect so long as it's in the house of a devotee. Don't let me take birth in the house of a Vishai, of a sense enjoyer, someone who's trying to exploit the material. And this is why it's dangerous, you know, when we go into the material world, especially if we take some pleasure from that world. For example, if you watch television, which is what so many devotees have such an unfortunate taste for. It's like you're sitting in your home and you more or less invite the meat eater, the drunkard, the sex offender into your home. They start acting out their dramas right in your home. They bring all that rubbish and atmosphere and mood and debauchery right into the middle of your home and just contaminate the whole atmosphere actually by the sound vibration. This is Kali Maharaj's greatest weapon. You know, the British were here in India for something like almost 200 years. And they couldn't make an impression on the culture of India. It was so powerful, the culture of India. But today we see that television is making such a negative impression on the people in the village where I stay in New Duvasa, very small village. They don't even have any cars in the village. They have televisions though. And you see every evening, all the little kids are watching these stupid American soaps, you know, with the ladies half dressed and the rest of it. Their culture from an early age, these young children, is being threatened by Kali Maharaj's greatest weapon. It needs to be purified, you know. We need to discourage, not whatever, however we can. The real discouragement is to show the sweetness of hearing about Radha and Krishna's pastimes. This should purify the heart so you don't want those lower tastes. But this is often a physical difficulty that devotees experience when they go to the West. Even if they just drop in to see mum or dad or something like this, or some family member, then this television again is there. And it's very attractive to the senses. They're expert wallahs. These materialists, they are so expert at knowing the desires, the material desires of the people in the world. They're one step ahead of you, the advertising companies. They know the trends and where they're going, and they bring out just the right products, like health foods, you know, those exercise bicycles and all these kind of things. You know, all this type of enjoyment, they're right ahead of the market, and they'll produce all these objects for our enjoyment and then advertise them, entice us. This is Maya Devi's kingdom. You know, she's very powerful. Don't underestimate her. One day, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, he said, you Westerners, you underestimate greatly the power of Maya Devi. You don't realize how powerful she actually can be. The real power, of course, is coming from my attraction to Maya. Maya can never actually physically control me, ever. It is my choice to go in that direction. It's never that she physically controls me. She might give me the choice, just like in the case of Haridas Thakur. Maya Devi herself came in a very alluring form as a woman, but he did not take that. He was not embracing that Mayic form at all. He was seeing it as Maya Devi. So in our time, our limited time in Vrindavan Dham, take this holy name deeply and develop a fortress in the heart of strength. Make a sanctuary where you can retreat to when Maya Devi becomes too threatening in the Western world, because she will. Don't underestimate her. Find that place of sweetness. Develop some place of consciousness, perhaps even through verses or through memorizing the holy places you went to. Build a little garden in the heart where you can go to regularly. This is like, you know, developing our place of bhajan. Bhajan originates in the heart. We need that.
It's not just television, also internet.
Definitely.
Inviting so many things into your brain.
Yeah. It's a wonderful, wicked world we live in. But Dr. Prabhu is saying it's not only television, it's internet also. So internet is so common, and often we think, oh, this is necessary for my service, I must do that. But if you watch internet in the West, there's all kinds of, you know, advertisements that just fly up in your face all over the place. It's a very dangerous world.
Smartphones.
Huh?
Smartphones. All the kids are not even at home, but everywhere on their smartphone.
But for the devotee, it's astonishing and it's wonderful to see Kali Maharaj's intensity, because the more Kali Maharaj becomes intense, the more revolted the devotees can be, and the more shelter they can call for in their sadhan bhajan. You talked today about Queen Kunti. Make these difficulties come. These difficulties are automatically going to come everywhere in the material. This attraction to enjoy a new smartphone, etc., or whatever, you know, all these different things. So we see the acceleration of Kali Maharaj. And for the devotee, it's not bewildering at all. You know, there was a survey in the, I think it was the Time magazine, they said something like, 20 years ago, if you open a schoolboy's locker in the schools, you'd probably find a catapult, you know, some chewing gum, and a magazine or something like that. Now if you open it, you find a syringe, maybe a gun, you know, all kinds of drugs. I mean, you know, we have really become incredibly more degraded even in the last 5 or 6 years, it's all speeding up faster, and it's making the mind go faster and faster. All this technological stuff just speeds the brain up, and that speed of the brain unstabilizes you. It makes us like, you know, our illusion becomes deeper. So it's a very dangerous place to touch. It's like the spider's web. When you touch the spider's web, you know, then you try to get it out. It just gets more and more entangled in you. So we have to take deep shelter of these prayers and our mantras.
Buddha's reply to someone once told him, "Oh, Buddha, this Kali Yuga is going faster and faster." He said, "Yes, but the Harinam also is going faster and faster."
Ah, very nice. So we have to make sure in our own personal lives our Harinam is going faster and faster. It must be. We have to add to that. Our assistance to that will greatly increase our own progress. When we try to support Mahaprabhu's movement in any way, that will increase our awareness of Radha and Krishna. It's 6:01. This verse parallels Purvana Lila, and I've already discussed quite a bit of Purvana Lila the other day when Krishna's going to the forest. Radha and Nanda Baba Yashoda, they're trying to keep him at home. Then he goes to the forest, and his relationship with the Sakas. This is in the Purvana Lila. It's a very wonderful Lila to reflect on and contemplate while we're chanting. So I hope you've learned something from.
Can I ask a question? I didn't exactly understand from the reason to taste Ras. From that reason come the 3 desires.
Sorry, just say one more time.
The first reason Mahaprabhu came, you said, is to taste Unnata Ras or Unnata Prem. From that reason come up the 3 desires.
No. You should ask, what is Unnata Ujjvala Prem? What is it? What is this highest resplendent prem? What does it consist of? What is Mahaprabhu trying to taste? What is the nature of that? The nature of it, he's trying to experience these 3 desires so he can understand, he can taste Radha's moods. That Unnata Ujjvala Prem for Mahaprabhu in this Advent is the tasting of Radha's moods for himself. That is what is Unnata Ujjvala Prem. Do you understand? So these 3 desires, they explain more or less what is that Unnata Ujjvala Prem. Otherwise we don't, what is the nature of that prem? What is prem? Sometimes devotees say, oh, I want prem. But what is prem? Prem means love for Krishna. I want love for Krishna. I must just begin to love him. It's not something really that can be bestowed in a sense. I already have it naturally. It's my natural swarup is to love Krishna. Mahaprabhu, he wants to taste his own sweetness, and that's described in those 3 desires. So it opens up the meaning of Unnata Ujjvala Prem. That's what is the meaning of Unnata Ujjvala Prem. The fulfillment of those 3 desires. Okay? Okay? Thank you for being so patient. I'm so appreciative of you coming every day. I'm very, very happy to speak these truths to an intelligent audience. Most of the time, I don't get such an attentive group when I travel around. So for me, it's a very special thing to see the same people each day and be able to go through methodically these verses. I'm very grateful for your attendance. Thank you. Actually, in Indian culture, if a musical group come and perform, they give the audience gifts at the end for coming to appreciate their music. They want to play the music, but the music is enhanced by the audience. So they have a pile of chadas or something, and they give out the chadas to everyone in the audience for being so kind to attend. So I feel the same sort of gratitude that you're coming to hear and giving me a chance to enter more deeply into these verses, because for so many years I've understood that this is the highest truth that Mahaprabhu has given. He's only given these 8 verses. What is the nature? So when we're allowed to discuss collectively, then we can go much more deeply into them, especially when you make various comments and so on. And collectively, by our group energy, we start to churn this Shikshastakam. We start to dive in there more deeply together. It's our group energy that is, revealing these jewels in the Shikshastakam. Perhaps next year, we could even go over the same Shikshastakam again 1 year later, and it would probably be totally on another deeper level. I'm quite sure. I'm just saying all the superficial aspects of it. There's a whole nother world of rasa just below each of these jewels.
I heard that Vamara said that Gurudev would do a very cyclical thing. Shikshastakam, Bhajan, Manat Shiksha, and Upadeshamrita. And then again come back, and again come back. Yeah. Continuous study with the brahmacharis in Mathura.
Yes. Each time going deeper and deeper and deeper. So we have all the tools. We have this Bhajan Rahasya. In this chapter in particular, I didn't read many of the excerpts, but you can read yourself. It's only a small chapter. But there are all sorts of moods of, I am so bereft, I am unfortunate, I have no love, I have no sense of importance. It's all showing direct moods of humility by the various acharyas and from the scriptures. So this humility, as we've said a number of times, is the enthusiasm or the absolute vital ingredient for progress towards praying. The final verse of this Shikshastakam, Aslisya va padaratam panashto mam, adashna mamam hatam karotava, yatatata va vedatu lampato mat prananastu sa eva napraha, that you can embrace me or you can throw me away, or you can enjoy with other lovers in front of me. Still you are my prananath, birth up. This is such profound humility. This is the very pitch of praying in this final verse. So we have to contemplate the final verse or know the nature of the final verse as we're progressing through. The final verse has to be there as the goal to appreciate. We're coming to appreciate that final verse, and it's just soaked in humility. Radha is saying that whatever Krishna does, she's going to love him. Whether he enjoys with other lovers, even directly in front of her, she still has him as her prananath, birth after birth. This is so beautiful to contemplate. It melts the hearts. These verses eventually can melt our hearts and take us into that beautiful world of real bhajan by Gurudev's mercy and the mercy of Nam. Shri Gurudev ki jai, Shikshastakam ki jai, Gaura Premanandi. We always have to sing a little bit of Hare Krishna at the end. Gurudev described that when we hear Hare Katha, sometimes the hearts open out to embrace the Hare Katha. But we have to close the door to carry it away with us. And we close the door by a small kirtan, by some chanting together of kirtan. So it's important just to do. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Oh Jaya Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Jaya Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari. Gaura Hey, Gaura Hey, Gaura Hey, Gaura Hey, Gaura Hey, Oh Jaya Radha, Gopinath Radha, Gopinath Radhe, Jaya Radha, Gopinath Radha, Gopinath Radhe. Oh Jaya Radhe, 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 Shri Radhe, Jaya Radhe, 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 Shri Radhe. Oh Jaya Vrishabhanu Nandini, Radhe, Radhe, Vrishabhanu Nandini, Radhe, Radhe, Jaya Vrishabhanu Nandini, Radhe, Radhe, Vrishabhanu Nandini, Radhe, Radhe. Oh Radhe, 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 Shri Vrishabhananandini Radharani Rajeshwari ki jai. Shri Sachinandana Gaurahari ki jai. Radha Gopinath Ju ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Rupanuga Guru Vargya ki jai. Shri Shikshastakam ki jai. Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Gopinath Bhavan ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhavescha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnave Namo